This is the new redesigned Sony XAV AX4000, an entry-level digital receiver that finally supports wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. So let's quickly move on to the unboxing section of this video. In the box we'll find all the harnesses that we need to install this unit. It's a pretty basic one, so that's the reason it doesn't come with a lot of accessories and overwhelming amount of wire harnesses. But anyway, here's our receiver. It looks at the first impression as a single DIN unit, but don't be fooled by that. It's gonna be a double DIN unit. Features a 6.95-inch anti-glare resistive touchscreen. Not a huge fan of resistive touchscreen displays these days, but I guess should be fine for being in the car for most of its life. Now on the bottom front of the unit we got those physical buttons that you can press, and because it's not a capacitive touchscreen, we do get those raised bezels from side to side. It's not a flush look to it, and also the buttons, they do stick out a little bit. Now I'm gonna do a quick loading time test to find out how long it takes for the wireless Apple CarPlay to load up. This was done with the phone already prepared, so here we are, around 6 seconds for the unit to actually be ready to be used after you start the engine, and another 5 or 6 seconds for the Apple CarPlay to show up. And in terms of screen responsiveness, I would say it does pretty well. Just like an OEM head unit, there is no major lag or anything like that. Actually, scrolling through this web page feels pretty smooth, and as I said, no lag. But if you are wondering how do I have those extra apps here, well, I have a separate video of how to get those apps. But anyway, let me try the Google Maps here and see how just dragging around the map. I know some of the units will struggle with that, but this one is doing pretty okay, so you can look on the map with no problem, no major delays. As I said, this is by far the best unit I've seen going so smooth and feels so responsive despite the fact it's a wireless connection. Now I'm gonna perform the same exact test, but instead of using the iPhone, I will use an Android device, and we'll find out if the times are different or not. And as I said, I prepared those devices before doing the test, so it should automatically connect without me doing any connection. But here we are, 21 seconds to load up Android Auto. That's a little bit more than what it took Apple CarPlay to load up, which was 12 seconds. And now I'm gonna do some browsing here to the menu, trying to get a glimpse of the screen responsiveness, which so far I feel it's doing all right. I would say a little bit slower than Apple CarPlay, but not a huge difference. Let's see here, I'm trying to, there we go, the weather is not really working as I wanted. Yeah, I will go, I guess, back to the menu. So Android Auto just slightly slower than Apple CarPlay, but not by a lot, just a tiny bit. Now another cool thing about this is that you can easily switch between your devices, the prepared devices. So if you have an iPhone and Android, you can easily do that by switching them. So we will go to settings here, device connection, and as you can see, you have a list here. Those are your prepared devices. So I'm gonna switch to Apple CarPlay. Just tap on the iPhone there, and Apple CarPlay should show up in any minute. There we go. So that's what I like. If you have two devices and you have to use one or another, you can easily switch between those. Now moving on to the main screen here. This is the redesigned main screen or main menu of Sony. It will let you move things around. By mistake, I think it pressed on the cam app there, but I will do that again. Just press and hold, and you can drag those around wherever you want them for a convenient access, I would say. So that's a pretty cool feature. And as you can see, the main menu, it's a little bit different from what are we used with Sony. Now I don't think there is a way to replace that clock on the middle there, but we'll find here in a second. This is the radio app, a very minimal and clean user interface with a few options there, and that's the list of presets that we have. Going back to home, it supports a Sirius XM, but you gotta hook that up to the car and all that stuff. Rear cam, if you have a rear camera or a backup camera installed, you can access it anytime. And this is actually a shortcut to what I was showing you earlier, between switching between devices. So instead of going to settings, you can just have that handy right there. Tapping on the phone app will take you straight to the phone app. If you are Apple CarPlay on Android Auto, will take you there. So this is the device connections in the settings. Moving to the sound settings, we got the 14 band equalizer. 14 band, this is pretty rare on the head units. It really gives you a fine tune of the frequencies here, and you can have two presets that you can save your desired settings, or you can just choose by the presets that are by default in there. Now moving on to the subwoofer level, we can turn it off or turn it on, and you can adjust with minus 10 or plus 10, so that would be 20 levels that you can adjust. Balance and fader, pretty nice and cool looking interface. I gotta say, Sony really did a great job in making a clean interface for this unit. So this is kind of new. Listening position, this has to do with the time alignment, which is a new thing for Sony. I haven't really seen this in the previous models. That's pretty cool. I think it was about time to introduce this feature, time alignment. Look it up if you are not familiar with that. That's for the best sound depending on your position in the car. Now we got the crossover settings here. Lots of settings, lots of customizing. This should really help in improving the sound quality, the desired sound quality inside the car. Now the customize settings here will let you customize the function of the main button, which it can be serve as a mute button or a source change button. Now I'll keep it default. Wallpaper, you got 4 preset wallpapers here, but also you can add your own, maybe from a USB flash drive. Not many settings on the customize. I would like to see more there, but it is what it is. Now here we got couple of settings to the rear camera. One of them is adjusting the parking guidelines. Pretty easy stuff to do, nothing very complicated here. And if you don't like it or you don't need it, I believe it can be turned off from there. And moving on, we have the system tab here, where we are finding a couple of interesting settings like steering wheel control customizing or programming. I would say you can assign each function from the steering wheel to whatever you need, and the volume settings here will let you adjust for each individual sound source. That's pretty cool. To have optional audio output channel, can direct the call sounds to the front or the rear channel. Now here the dimmer has 11 levels of brightness. However, I find it that even the lowest setting might be a little bit too bright for some people on really dark spots or roads at night. Now this has 4 levels of key illumination. This will actually set how bright the key LED to be. Another cool interesting setting for the microphone in terms of amplifying can be set by how big the cabin is. So if it's a smaller cabin, the amplify of the mic may be not that high, but anyway, that should be set according to the car. Those are the settings of the unit. As I said, Sony redesigned pretty much everything and added couple of sound options. Now let's see what the buttons will do. If we press and hold the home button, it will go to a standby mode, and it will be waking up immediately when you press any buttons. And next up we got the volume buttons. That's how the user interface basically will show the volume. Pretty nice and minimal. And we will try here in a second to mute it, which I think might be the is the middle button that can be customized for muting or selecting a different source. And the voice button will trigger Siri for Apple CarPlay or Google Assistant on Android Auto. Now let's talk about the display for a little bit. It features a standard definition unit. It's not in high definition, so you may see a little bit of pixels here and there. Now another thing that I've noticed for the display, when it's viewed from the side in a certain angles, you can see the image appear to be washed out, so that's not that great for different passengers or positions in the car. Might not be helpful. When viewed from the top as well, it may wash out the image. So if you mount this unit somewhere on the lower portion of the dash, keep in mind that it may not reproduce nice and vivid images because of the viewing angles that this screen has. This is it for this video. If you enjoy it, please click like and subscribe for more similar content.